beauties, it's Brittany. Welcome back to my channel today. I got some things for the Sephora VIB sale, and I also have some other things that are kind of new to my life that I have not talked to you about yet. So I wanted to do that and just kind of do a little tutorial. We'll see what happens. Let's get to it. First, with my eyebrows, I used the ColourPop Brow Boss in the shade Auburn and the L'Oreal Havana Camilla Cabello little brow guy Insta Brow in what shade is this? I think it's blonde. First thing I wanted to try out is a palette from the brand Bad Habit. I actually also got an eyeshadow primer, which I should have used today, but I totally forgot, so I used my Wet n Wild one. But I have the Athena palette. I also have the Luna one, which is supposed to be a dupe for the Anastasia Norvina palette, which I don't have that one because I just really couldn't spend that kind of money on like purple shades because I won't wear them that much. But I did see that this was a dupe and I've been wanting to try this brand anyways. They are all over social media. So we'll probably talk about the Luna one in a different video, but today I'm going to be using out the Athena 18 color eyeshadow collection palette. This is not my first time playing around with this. I have used it a few times. I do really love the kind of satin shimmer shades. I haven't used this shade in Daring, which is very, very glittery. Also, this is supposed to be a dupe for the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, which I do totally have. I might do like a side-by-side video. I need to play around with this palette more in order to do that though, because I do really like the shimmer shades in this palette. I feel like they perform really well. I do like the shade Velour, Purity, Lure, and Power, but the shade Clever and Heroic are kind of crappy. They are patchy, they don't blend super well, they kind of just dust away into nothing. So that's definitely a downside to this palette, but it's super inexpensive, especially for being kind of a dupe for the Desert Dusk palette. These are good. I got a nice look with it. I did end up going on top of my lid with another product I'll talk about in a minute, but definitely take into consideration you get what you pay for with this. It's not gonna like knock you out of the water. So for this look today, I decided to go in with Purity in the crease and just kind of buff that all over the place as just that first initial transition color. And then I went in with Velour, which is kind of a peachy shade. I love shades like this for the crease and just kind of deepen things up with that shade. Then on a smaller brush, I took Allure, and I love oranges for the crease. Like, I like to put them high enough so that when I open up my eye, you can still kind of see them peeking through. So almost to the brow bone, but not quite to the brow bone. Then I took Power, which is a beautiful burnt burgundy shade. The trick with these is they are powdery, so your initial reaction is to like tap off your brush, but that kind of gets rid of all of the actual pigment. So don't dust off your brush, but just be aware that you will have fallout. So that's why I did my eyes first. Again, not the best formulation in the entire world, but for the price, it gets the job done. So I wanted to deepen up the outer corner. I switched back and forth between Clever and Heroic. They're both very lackluster in kind of putting your finger in the product. It does appear to be very pigmented. Maybe actually applying it with your finger might be better in this case. I haven't tried that, but whatever brush I use, I cannot get the pigmentation to like actually stick to the eyelid. So those are definitely the most underwhelming shades in this palette. I did take a little bit of Justice right kind of in the inner part of my tear duct crease area. I knew I was going to be bringing in that gleam shade, so I wanted to pull out a little bit of the purpley hues. And I wanted to use the shade Gleam, which reminds me a lot of MAC Club. It's that shade that used to be super, super unique a few years ago, but a lot of brands have something like this now, where the base is like taupe, and then there's like blue and green reflex to it. So I did use a little bit of MAC Fix Plus spritzed onto my brush to apply this shade, and it did look super, super lovely. And I've worn the shade Cunning to work before all over the lid and got a lot of compliments on my eyeshadow that day. So I do enjoy these kind of shimmery, iridescent shades. I'm just most underwhelmed with the dark matte shades. I wanted the eyes to be a little more than I was getting with that palette, and I could have gone in with the glitter, but by the time I had realized it wasn't enough, my foundation was already done, so I couldn't be too brave with the colors. So I decided to take a pigment and mix MAC Fix Plus in with it to create kind of a pressed pigment, and I used the Inglot shadow that I got when I went to IMATS in Canada in the shade 114, and it is like a beautiful mermaidy color. It did turn out much deeper and darker on the eyelid, but I think that's because of the shade underneath, and also I used just a very little bit of it mixed with a mixing medium. So that's kind of what I did there to make my eyes pop just a little more. Let's go ahead and move on from that palette and talk about my skin. I used the Iconic London Illuminator in the shade Shine mixed with my Dior Backstage foundation. I wanted my skin to be very like radiant and luminous today, so I did a combination of these two products together to create a very luminous finish to the skin. A concealer that I picked up during the sale is the Cover FX Power Play Concealer. I decided to go with the shade N Fair 2, and I love the Cover FX foundation. This is their Natural Finish foundation. I wear the shade P20 in this, so I knew that I loved that, and when everybody so I know I'm a fan of that foundation, and when this concealer came out, I was hearing all about it on YouTube, so I wanted to give it a try, and I have mixed thoughts on it today. Used it under the eyes. It is very thick. I would definitely recommend using like a damp beauty blender or sponge. I first started with my brush because I didn't have a damp beauty blender next to me at the moment, and it kind of like stuck to my under eye area. I am using a new eye cream just today and yesterday, so potentially there's some conflicts going on there, but I did have collecting right underneath my lower lash line. I was able to kind of pat it out with my finger, and then when I went in with the sponge on the other side, I didn't have that problem, but my initial thoughts on that are that I'm a little weary because I don't want any creping under the eyes. I also wanted to use it on my red spots just to kind of see how it played with that in case I can't use it under the eyes, and it did cover up things quite well. I have a lot of kind of pigmentation and stuff going on right now, so did help with that. The applicator is very odd, but I did kind of like that I could just like boop, bop it under the eye. Didn't have to like swipe the sponge, which I like, and maybe it's more sanitary. I don't know. So more to come on this concealer, but got the job done today with a little bit of mishap, but it was corrected. I did want to go in with a cream highlighter before I did any powder products on my face. I want my skin to be very luminous today, so I went in with Smoke and Whistles from ColourPop. It's one of their Super Shock highlighters, and I just kind of buffed that on the cheekbones. Did some setting with a loose translucent powder, and then I moved on to bronzer. I used my Anastasia Tawny bronzer. Won't talk about this long because I've talked about it many, many times, and I love it. For blush, I used the L'Oreal Paradise Enchanted Scented Blush, and this is in the shade Just Curious. It smells good, and the formula of these blushes, it's really good. All right, let's go back to the eyes for a minute. I used some new products today. I got a Charlotte Tilbury set during the Sephora sale because I really wanted to try her brand, but it is very expensive. So I thought starting off with a little set would kind of ease me into it. So I have the Rock and Kohl liner in Bedroom Black, and I used that on my tight line as well as my upper lash line today. I did end up going in with some Stila liquid liner after I put my false lashes on. I did also use the Charlotte Tilbury Amber Haze for brown eyes on my waterline today. I do not have brown eyes, but this came in that little set, so I wanted to use it up. The lashes I have on today are by Morphe. They're the Morphe 202, by the way. Ooh, for lips, this is the main reason I got that Charlotte Tilbury set, is because I wanted to try some of her lip products out. Everyone raves on and on about the Pillow Talk lip liner and lipstick, so I was very thrilled to see it was in that set, and that's kind of what made me buy it. This lip liner is really good. Like, the formula of it is super, super easy to apply onto the lips, and I did actually really like the color. It's very similar to my natural lip color, but was just like enhanced a little bit. So then I have the Little Baby lipstick. in Pillow Talk, and I just applied that on top of the liner. And for gloss, first I went in with the Huda Beauty gloss, and this is in the shade Angelic, just because I want to use this gloss, and yeah. But I felt like it wasn't pulling out the peaches enough. I wanted a little more peach to the lip, so I went in with NARS Orgasm. For the powder highlighter that I have on my face today, it is the Fenty Killawatt highlighter in Sandcastle and Minted Mojito. I just kind of blended the two together and then generously applied that to my cheeks. Spritzed everything with Maybelline Setting Spray, MAC Fix Plus, just to kind of seal the deal. If you guys have tried any palettes from Bad Habit or anything else that they have, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on the brand overall. I think it's pretty great that you can get, you know, these kind of trendy shades at a more affordable price. I remember first starting out and I didn't have any like really big expensive palettes. I wanted to kind of jump onto all the color trends, but couldn't afford literally to get the, you know, $70, $60, $50 palettes. So if you want to jump on those trendy palettes that are out, I think it's really cool that this brand offers a cheaper alternative for those same kind of shades. They definitely will not perform to the highest quality because they are a less quality product, but I do think that it's nice that you can get those things at a more affordable price if it's something especially that you're not going to use like every single day and you just kind of want to jump on a trendy shade. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this look today. If you did, let me know in the comments down below and by giving this video a thumbs up. And you can always subscribe to my channel to support this content. If you're here and you're watching this, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Well, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!